Nice training, fellas. Good effort. Let's keep it going.
Incoming message.
Message. Youth intake preview. Ooh. Looks like these youth facilities might be paying off. Keep working hard, boys. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 60 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we have the second qualifying round of the Champions League taking on FK Sarajevo from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and to go alongside that a bit of club news and our youth intake preview, which we'll get into shortly. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But at the end of last week we did have our first qualifying round of the Champions League. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it above my head in the top right corner today, as I said in the intro, about to take on Sarajevo. But before we get into that side of things, a little bit of stuff that we need to get through before then. And to start things off, our youth intake preview, we did actually get this around about the halfway stage during yesterday's episode, but I thought we'd bring it to you guys at this stage. When this first came through the inbox, it was rated as an average intake, so not quite sure why it's gone up to an excellent one, but I do kind of agree, because you can see there a lot of areas where we potentially have some quite good players coming through at the club. Hopefully that means our improvements that we have made with the most recent chairman at the club, with our facilities, our junior coaching and youth recruitment, have paid off. So we might be in for a good youth intake in mid-August, which I think will be around the last qualifying round for whatever European competition that we are looking to enter at that stage. But to go alongside this, we make our way over to the inbox, and you can see that we do have a new chairman. Unfortunately, Bjorgvin, our good mate who paid for a lot of improvements at the club, especially in those youth facilities, he has been replaced by Sverre Gudmundsson. Not quite sure why that was the case, but nonetheless we have another new chairman here, our third chairman in 3 years. But luckily, as you can see on screen, we do have a meeting to discuss a new contract coming up right before today's game, so that is something of use coming out of that new chairman coming to the club. It'll be interesting to see how he handles improvements. Hopefully he's as open with the wallet as our past chairman was, improving things around the club and whatnot. But we are also just coming off the start of a transfer window in this save. We've done a little bit of business, and there is some in particular that we do need to update you guys on. We'll go over to the transfer history tab and have a look at this. All of the business so far has been free. We've been getting in players, of course, at the end of the European seasons and signing a few of them. We'll make our way through these guys quickly. Young 17-year-old Turkish midfielder who has decent potential, so he's coming to the club hopefully to become homegrown nation and a club in the future. Our next signing actually ended up being really useful because of a future injury. This is Eugenio Roselli, a left back from Italy, 19 years old, 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. He is a first team option at left back, which is good with a little bit of disruption there at the moment. Almedi Ben Musa from the Netherlands, 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. Looking at loaning that guy out. He is currently in and around the first team, but not getting any football, as is the case with Jorge Sola, a 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential Spanish midfielder. And to round things off, Gennaro Mano, a 2-star striker from Italy with 5-star potential, albeit that last star is a white one, 20 years old, so a little bit older than most of the signings that we have made, but just adding even more squad depth. And hopefully some of the other clubs around Iceland are willing to take some of those players who we don't need in the first team at the moment. And to counter that, finally, Wilson Isidore has left the club with that deal that we sorted out right towards the start of the season, going back to France, seeing as he was not getting any more game time. And something else to make note of, Pat Ainscoe, we have extended his loan out at Minnesota in the MLS towards the end of the season. But one of the reasons that the Roselli transfer was quite good is because in our most recent game, which was a Mulka Bickerin one, we have suffered one of two pretty serious injuries going into today's episode, and that is Raul Prata with a torn hamstring. He is out for 2 to 3 months, so that actually gives us a really good backup to Leandro Diaz now despite that injury, so quite pleased that we did make that transfer. But more importantly, to our starting 11, Patrick Nygaard has suffered a hamstring strain right off the back of yesterday's episode. He is out for 12 days to 4 weeks. He is going to be out for the large majority of Champions League qualifying, albeit we have replaced Raul Prata instead of Nygaard in the Champions League squad with Rosali, given that his injury is more long-term. So we're just suffering a few injuries going into the first game of today's episode, and the game that we did play in between yesterday and today was the Malka Bikram, picking up a 1-0 win there. A pretty quiet game, but a good result with our rotation team of Christian Sekularak picking up the goal there in the 22nd minute, albeit it was a bit of a soft one to concede there from their goalkeeper, and we did hold on off the back of that, so that is a good result, albeit another tough draw for us in the quarterfinal off the back of that, taking on HK in what could be a quick fire double in both the league and the Icelandic Cup, which we are expected to be winning both of those competitions this coming season. But Champions League qualifying is the focus of today's episode, taking on FK Sarajevo from Bosnia and Herzegovina. They are a team from a non-playable league, and they are entering the Champions League qualifying in this round. So another team which we should be in a good position to beat, quite similar to the team that we did take on from Slovakia in yesterday's episode. We should have match fitness over these guys, and I think we should have a better team than these guys at the moment as well. Something to keep an eye out on, though, is this tie between RFS and Olympiacos, because the third qualifying round draw has been made, and that is the tie that we need to keep an eye out on. We are playing the winner of that tie, the first leg away from home, the second leg at our home ground. I'd imagine Olympiacos are probably the favourites for that tie, and that would be quite a tough third round opposition, so it might be a slightly tougher draw than what we got in Champions League qualifying last season. But we'll come back shortly and see if we can get that far. The first leg is being played actually at Phil Keir's home stadium this year, which is interesting, but that is where the first leg will be held, our home leg of the second qualifying round of the Champions League against FK Sarajevo. And here are the team sheets for this first leg, just running you guys through these things, as we do have a few injuries that we have suffered since yesterday's episode. Our starting lineup very similar, but Arnason comes in for Nygaard thanks to that injury, with Bjarkason now on the bench instead of Arnason. The other change on the bench, of course, is our new backup left back coming in for Raul Prata, and that is Eugenio Rosali. Good pickup him. We actually had a few other players on trial at the club, the likes of Kurzawa, the former PSG left back. He was released on a free transfer, but is only 2-star rated these days, so we're definitely getting to the stage in the save where we will probably need to spend money if we're going to look to improve the positions in our current squad. We've actually got a quite decent squad in comparison to most teams around Europe these days, which is a little bit interesting, already getting to that sort of level. But a few changes to our lineup, but hopefully we'll still have quite a bit on this FK Sarajevo team. 2 minutes gone, first highlight of the game. It's a free kick here for Sarajevo in the dark red. We're at home in the green and are on the attack already. Nice ball there for Nicolusi. Caviglia just takes his time, tries to curve that bottom right corner, just puts it wide, and it remains 0-0 early on in the home league. And now second highlight of the game takes until the 42-minute mark to get underway, and that's a wonderful finish there off the throw from Sergio Cadena. He picks up another goal, and thankfully we do too. We've been absolutely dominant in this game so far stats-wise, despite the lack of highlights. That's our 12th shot so far, Sarajevo, just the one, but we do open the scoring right before halftime. A great time for us to score, and we go 1-0 up at halftime. Might just make a change to the tempo here at halftime, because we didn't get too many highlights there and not too high of an XG, despite our dominance there in the first half, and having a little bit of a think over the weekend about how we actually did do in Europe last season. That lower tempo did work pretty well for us, and I think we're starting to regain our form after those draws that we did suffer against HK and from Reykjavik. So we'll try the second half out here on the lower tempo and tell the boys that they can improve. 1-0 up despite a pretty heavy dominance so far of the second qualifying round first league. And right off the back of the restart, we have a highlight 3 minutes into the second half on the lower tempo, but already a good chance here potentially for Rubio. Good effort, forces a really good save there from Peric in goal for Sarajevo, and we'll see if we can get anything coming from the corner here. This would be a great time for a double strike either side of half-time, but they do deal with the corner safely. 50 minutes gone, still 1-0 Volsungur. And not long off the back of that, we do have a throw-in looking to play out from the back, but already a few more highlights in quick succession than what we did have in that first half. So maybe going back to the lower tempo is going to work out. As I said, we did actually have a really good season with that lower tempo last time around, of course, going through the league season unbeaten domestically. And there is our second goal not too long off the back of the halftime break. And poor Stein Arneson with his free finishing. That is one heck of an effort from just outside the box. Rubio, some good hold-up play here, sees the run of Arneson, just gets beyond his defender. And that's a really nice finish just inside that near post. And we go 2-0 up just after the 50-minute mark. And up to the 78-minute mark now, it's quite a quiet game so far highlights-wise. So we're going to make two substitutions with our wingers, both on red hearts, Arneson and Kadina. The goal scorers, Bjarkason, can come on for Arneson, and Sakularak will go out on the left-hand side. I think he's a little bit more natural there than the right-hand side. Two subs used, still 2-0 up with just over 10 minutes left. And very shortly off the back of those two substitutions, time for us to make our last. We've got a few players here on red hearts in the midfield, but we'll take off Spiderski on a 6.8 rating. Gavioli to come on for him. Still 2-0 up with 10 minutes left. 85 minutes gone, a late throw-in just inside the opposition half for us here, and hopefully we can potentially just start to kill this game off at 3-0 going into the away leg, but so far a little bit of a cushion for us. Good ball there for Bjarkason. The rebound goes in the back of the net, but the flag is up for offside there. It was a good ball, but he must just be a slight stride offside. Really nice bit of work here from Gavioli. Not much in that. It's a bit hard to tell from the angle that we were given, but the referee has raised his flag, the assistant referee, and it looks like, unless something happens here inside the last few minutes and the 3 minutes of added time, we will take a 2-0 lead into the away leg in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Pretty much matching our XG, just above it slightly. Pretty good performance. I think we definitely played a little bit better throughout the second half, even though we had a few little periods there where we were a bit flat, but on the whole, a pretty good performance, and we will take a 2-0 lead into the away leg. We'll just make our way through and see what has happened in that other tie that we are keeping an eye on between RFS and Olympiacos. And looking on the left-hand side, just above our result, and it is a 1-1 draw in the home league for RFS, so still a fairly evenly balanced tie, that one. I think we just have the slight advantage, albeit now going away from home, and potentially in that other tie we're keeping an eye out on Olympiacos going back home, probably also with the slight edge. But unless anything happens in between now and then, we'll come back shortly for that second leg away from home. And we are back. It is the day of the second leg here against FK Sarajevo, and Leandro Diaz on transfer deadline day, which this also happens to be here in Iceland, albeit we don't have the fancy skin and whatnot that goes along with the game this year being in Iceland, but he is handing in a transfer request, unhappy that we blocked his move to Hellas Verona, just because really we couldn't find any players better than him to step up at left back in that new signing that we did make in Roselli. Not quite as good as Diaz, but a little bit better than Raul Prada. But if we go and have a look at the offers that have actually been made off the back of him handing in his transfer request, they are all from Portugal. So I think we might get away here with rejecting his transfer request and turning down all of these offers. It might upset him, but it's a bit of a risk letting him go, especially halfway through a Champions League qualifying campaign, especially when we have a few injuries to our other left backs in the squad. But Leandro Diaz is just proving a little bit of a headache here at the moment. Does want to force a move away from the club, but hopefully with those clubs coming in from being from Portugal, we will be okay. We are still keeping a good eye out on the left back from HK. If we go over to our shortlist, he is the top of that shortlist. No one came in from in either of these past two windows, but his contract is expiring at the end of October. Of course, being from HK, unless a foreign club do come in for him, we can't go after him. If we go to his transfer status, the likes of Hellas Verona and Bologna, who were after him, have pulled out. So if he does not re-sign with HK, we could sign this guy once his contract expires, and that might be a replacement for Leandro Diaz if he does continue to be a little bit of a nuisance in terms of the dressing room dynamics. He's not quite as well-rounded as Leandro Diaz, especially the crossing and the dribbling, but those other attributes do mean that for the wing-back role that we do use, he's a little bit better when you compare the attributes that are used for that role. So it could be a good replacement there, and he has a little bit more potential as well, homegrown in nation. So a few benefits if this guy does not re-sign with HK, and if we are the only club after his services come the end of the season. But in between now and that first league, we have played one league game. It was quite a good performance from us here, a 3-1 win away at Akranes, getting off to an absolute flyer in this game. A highlight from the kickoff, and after 30 seconds, Bjarkason did put us a goal up, very similar to the one that Benjamin Rubio scored from the opposite side in the last episode at the end of last week. And then around the 18-minute mark, Roselli plays that back for Sakulrek, Larson far post, and Pedro on the volley picks up a goal to go alongside his assist. Early in the second half, we did make it 3-0 with Kurt Shaw with a header, but off the back of that, one of the strangest own goals that you will see, which is mainly why we are watching the highlights of this. Some great work there from Fredriksson, but then Kurt Shaw does a really bad job of trying to get that off the line. So we do concede an own goal late in that game, but still hold on for a 3-1 win over an Akranes team who do have a former player of ours on their books in Milan Radovic. But a good win, and what that means for the league table is we are 7 points clear with a game in hand over HK, so that does look quite good, just past the halfway point of the season. No more injuries off the back of that game, and we'll come back shortly for the second leg of this Champions League qualifier against FK Sarajevo. 29 minutes gone, coming up to the half-hour mark. We have the first decent highlight in this game. Corbo with a header that goes just over the bar. Worth keeping in mind down here towards the bottom left corner, Olympiacos already with a 2-0 lead against RFS in their home league. You can see here we are dominating things stats-wise, but no reward as we approach half-time. Still 2-0 up on aggregate. 43 minutes gone. We were on the attack there, but the ball does fall to Piric in goal for Sarajevo. Another quick look down there, bottom left corner, Olympiacos more or less now guaranteed to be the team that we hopefully will face in tomorrow's episode in the third qualifying round. But we are on the attack now, and it's Vidursky who makes it 1-0 on the day, 3-0 on aggregate. Porstein Arneson gets an assist to go alongside his nice goal from the first leg, and we are now 3-0 up, and it's looking like it will potentially be an Olympiacos Volsungur tie coming up in tomorrow's episode. That will be quite a tough tie, given the history of Olympiacos, a decent team in the past in European football. They are 4-0 up on the day. We are 1-0 up on the day, 3-0 up on aggregate as we do enter halftime of this second leg. Another pretty quiet tie so far, but just managing it fairly well over the two legs, playing pretty well on that lower tempo as well. I think we're creating a bit more than we were with the higher tempo in the first leg. We'll make one change here at halftime. Sergio Cadena not performing too well on a 6.4. Bjarkason can come on for him, but feeling fairly comfortable with how things are going. 3-0 up with 45 minutes left away from home. And shortly off the back of half-time, we have a free kick. Sviderski gets his head on the end of that. In fact, it's a push in the back, and we do get a penalty. So a great chance here for Benjamin Rubio to absolutely seal this from the penalty spot early in the second half. Can he tuck it away? The goalkeeper goes the right way, but can't stretch out far enough. Benjamin Rubio gets his 10th goal of the season. He looks like he's starting to really hit his stride up front, taking over our starting role from Pedro, the 20-year-old Spaniard, in place of the 27-year-old Portuguese striker, I believe is his age now. And we are back with another highlight, albeit Rubio gives the ball away quite softly there with a back pass. Not too sure if he actually needed to make that back pass. Looked like he might be one-on-one with the goalkeeper if he just held on to that. But it is Sarajevo now in possession. If they do get a goal back here, they might have a very slim chance of getting back into this tie. But 4 goals up, I do feel like we're in a pretty strong position here with 40 minutes remaining, albeit they get something going here down the left-hand side with some good short passing. Gojek just holds the ball up. It's some good stuff here. They take a shot just high, looking for that top right corner. It does remain 2-0 on the day, 4-0 on aggregate. And shortly off the back of that last highlight, a free kick looking for the far post. It is dealt with, and Gojek on the counter-attack here yet again for Sarajevo, but it's a really good slide tackle there, and Galtason is able to tidy things up off the back of that slide tackle. I'm pretty sure that was from Ian Carlo, and we look to get on the attack again, just patiently waiting to play out from the back, and Carlo, who made that tackle with a poor pass, unfortunately. And Sarajevo back in position. Great work from Rubio. Tries to chip the keeper, just not quite on target. He loves a chip, as I've said a few times, but just can't get them on target. And it does remain 4-0 on aggregate with 35 minutes remaining. 67 minutes gone, and our highlight here potentially in our favour. Diaz with a throw. Bjarkason tries to put that into a dangerous area, but Piric for Sarajevo is able to tidy things up, and they have had a few more highlights in their favour recently. We'll see what happens from this one, but he bumps it too deep, and Corbo is able to tidy things up. I'm looking to get something going here. Bjarkason fresh on the pitch. Nice ball here for Rubio. Just a little bit too much on it, and we wait to see what this highlight is actually all about. Piric pumps this deep, trying to get this beyond our defence yet again, but similar situation with Corbo cutting that out, and Arnason trying to get something going here. Another ball for Rubio, good chance, and he slots it away, his second goal of the game, and that is 3-0 on the day, 5-0 on aggregate, and that should absolutely wrap things up. It will be Volsungur versus Olympiacos in the third qualifying round of the Champions League in tomorrow's episode. The goalkeeper pumping it deep a few times, not able to get it beyond Corbo, and finally, just a well-weighted pass there for Rubio, tucks it away nicely. He does now have the places his shots trait in his arsenal, so that is a good finish from him. As I said earlier, looks like he's really starting to kick on in that first choice starting role as our striker in place of João Pedro, albeit we do have a highlight here shortly off the back of making it 3-0 to Sarajevo as they get on the scoreboard for the first time in this time, and Hlos makes his way down the right-hand side, puts the ball in the mixer there. We do close them down nicely, albeit they are still in possession. Boskovic out there on the right, tries to put a ball into the mixer. A few good blocks there in defence, and we do keep the scoreline at 5-0 on aggregate with 20 minutes left. And up to the 76-minute mark, we've got a few players here on red hearts. The time for us to make our last two substitutions. Sekularek for Sviderski, Gavioli for Nicolusi Caviglia. Still 5-0 up with 14 minutes remaining. And right off the back of making those substitutions, a goal kick here to Sarajevo. Can we make it 4-0 on the day? Pretty happy though that we've seemed to regain our form with the lower tempo compared to the higher tempo. Does think it suits this tactic a little bit more, holding possession more, and it did do such a great job for us last season. European-wise, of course, we did make the Champions League. It was our best season, if you consider that, even though the coefficient didn't quite reflect it. Great chance here for Sekularek, a good save there from Piric in goal for Sarajevo, and of course, picking up from that previous point, we did go unbeaten pretty comprehensively domestically as well, so I think the lower tempo does suit us. It was just worth upping it to higher, seeing as we were in a little bit of a rut by our standards domestically, but getting into the last 6 minutes, cruising here 5-0 up on aggregate. And 1 minute of added time in this game. It's pretty much all over Red Rover. A very comprehensive display for us over both legs, and we pick up a 5-0 win on aggregate. Dominant displays over both legs, as I said, and if we make our way forward to the results, we should see that we will be playing Olympiacos in the third qualifying round in tomorrow's episode. And indeed, that is the case with Olympiacos picking up a 4-0 win in their home league. So we will be taking those guys on in tomorrow's episode in the third qualifying round of the Champions League. And back in the inbox off the back of that pretty comprehensive win, a much better performance, I think, than what we put out at the end of last week. And hopefully that means the lower tempo is going to work throughout the rest of this season as well, receiving a little bit of coin for that win in the second qualifying round. Of course, if we make the Champions League over the Europa League, of course, with that win, we actually do guarantee ourselves a spot in the group stages of a European competition. Hopefully, one of those top two, as I think we're maybe just getting a little bit too good for the Conference League, albeit with Tottenham winning that last season. It would still be a bit of a challenge for us to win that one, but we're definitely looking more like a Champions League, Europa League group stage team now than we are a Conference League team from the first season in Europe. But we are indeed playing Olympiacos in tomorrow's episode, the first leg being played away from home. That does mean that the potentially crucial second leg will be at one of our homes away from home, either Phil Kerr's ground or the Laugardarsvola in Reykjavik. But a quick look at Olympiacos before we wrap things up. In today's episode, they of course are a very successful club in Greece, having now won the top division 50 times in this save. They have been the most dominant team since this save has started, picking that up quite a bit, it is fair to say, in the Champions Path, defending champions, a club with a little bit of a higher reputation than the clubs have taken on so far in this year's qualifying. And indeed, the Greek league is loaded into the game, so they're a team who probably will have a little bit more match fitness and be a little bit stronger than the teams that we have taken on so far in this Champions League qualifying. And you can see there in between now and the first leg, they have friendlies against Manchester City and then Liverpool either side of that first leg. So they are taking on some pretty good teams either side of us. It will be interesting to see how we do get on against those guys, or if we do dip out, making our way down to the Europa League playoff. But that will do for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. But until tomorrow, where we take on Olympiacos in the third qualifying round of the Champions League, a win there would secure ourselves at least a spot in the Europa League group stages. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.